RHYO is an orchestra for young people.
We practice from 10 till 1 on a Saturday morning, and we play music from loads of different styles, from jazz to classical.
RHYO is the final step of becoming a great young musician, and people who've been learning from about year 4.
In January and February, RHYO were rehearsing for 2 major concerts, Light Night and the Great Orchestra Experiment. Things still seemed normal in February, and we were all unaware that Light Night was going to be our last in-person concert for over a year.
In March, the first national lockdown started, and on the 14th of March, RHYO had our last rehearsal in person. As we could no longer make music physically together, we went online, and on the 21st of March, we had our first online rehearsal. We did this through Microsoft Teams, and although there were many teething issues, eventually we got our feet, and now we rehearse every Saturday online.
More difficult than actually playing and rehearsing it in person with other people.
It was a bit difficult, yeah, because every 2 seconds my internet would just start crashing and everything will start glitching here and there.
My internet does that even now.
And I remember just he was saying, okay, ready, figure 8, wait, and now, and my internet cut out just as he said, so I lost the timing for the whole thing.
It
was quite difficult for me because it was a massive step up from where I already was.
Not great not knowing anyone, but I think I've gotten to know people now, so it's a lot better.
It made it easier having to do it online because I wasn't in front of people and I didn't have much pressure.
It's going to be great when we finally get back together. I can actually talk to people properly.
We play Kopanica.
In May 2020, RHYO decided to create our first lockdown performance. Our first lockdown piece was Kopanica. Each member of RHYO had to record their part individually at home using a click track and headphones.
Kopanica is a Bulgarian folk tune in 1116, which was a great new talent to continue to stretch us in lockdown, and it was amazing to see it all come together on YouTube. What was it like recording in your own home with a click track and headphones?
I found it quite stressful, but I felt like I could, even if I made mistakes, it was okay.
It did get sometimes it was a bit frustrating if you got a bit that you found a bit tricky that you had to do multiple times.
Recording you playing your instrument whilst listening to a backing track, it sometimes feels a bit lonely when you're doing it by yourself, and then when you see it come out, you realise you've not been alone whatsoever. You've been with everybody else.
Hello, this is Shaky Kanye Mason. I'm sending a message to the Robin Hood Youth Orchestra. Very excited to hear that you are continuing through digital means.
What did it feel like watching RHYO's first lockdown video?
It felt very strange to hear something that you hadn't heard all of a sudden out of nowhere, and it was very nice to listen to.
I was a bit apprehensive at first. We'd never done anything like this, but I thought it was really good, and it was good to actually see it out there and get to listen to something that we've made.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was going to sound awful. I thought it was going to sound dreadful because I was just everyone's going to be out of time, people are going to be out of tune, how the hell do you get everyone to play together? But somehow I managed it and it sounded really great.
We're in the orchestra, we hear it, but we don't really watch it as a viewer. Important for us to see, but it's also nice to see because you're always in it, in the thick of it.
As Kopanica was so successful, we decided to collaborate with our German orchestra. also did joint rehearsals with them online, which was an incredible experience.
I think it was really good because you can really get to know other cultures and while you're sharing the same love and interest.
As section leaders led some bio pieces like Big 12. Aida. We also supported groups of key workers in schools with the project Baba Tandaza.
In June, what was it like saying goodbye to 18-year-old players online?
It was quite emotional, almost saying goodbye, and each of us do mean a lot to the orchestra, I think.
I enjoyed the saying goodbye to the 18-year-old players. So even though it wasn't a proper goodbye, it still felt like they're real people, they're not just screens on Teams.
In September, as lockdown was sort of easing, we managed to do a real-life rehearsal. Even though it was outside and it was a bit chilly, we still all came together and played as a whole orchestra again, which was fab.
In September, what was it like meeting live once more with restrictions and safety measures?
So I think it was good to meet in person because we got to actually play our music together.
I enjoyed it being a new member. It was quite nice to meet the other people who played the same instrument as me and were in the same section as me.
We also got to meet together again later on in the year in about October at College Street. During this time we rehearsed together and we played through House Train Dragon in our sectional groups, and we also had to rotate the sectional groups to allow social distancing, so we're in different spaces to allow space between each other.
Just as we thought things were getting back to normal, the infection rate in Nottingham soared to be the worst in the UK. This meant that socially distanced rehearsals were no longer possible, but we still carried on online and we rehearsed and we recorded new pieces.
Lockdown 2 started and Christmas in the City preparations carried on, with Microsoft Teams coming to the rescue once again. We had great success with Christmas in the City, as it was viewed over 5,000 times on YouTube and was watched in many parts of the world, including Karlsruhe in Germany.
What did it feel like recording Good King Wenceslas fanfare live on Teams with faked background?
So I have a tablet, and MS Teams on mobile is bad because you can't do backgrounds, so I had to have as blank a background as possible, which meant I had to stand up, point my tablet at the ceiling and play downwards to the microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, like I remember for mine, I couldn't get the background to work, so I've got a football table there and it can go upright, so I put that and then I hung my duvet over it to get a plain background. That was entertaining to do.
DIY backdrop. Oh.
Yeah.
How did you feel watching Christmas in the City alongside so many other people?
I felt like it was like a proper concert, you know, like there was so many people watching and it was something that we created together.
It was quite amazing that we actually managed to take hold of this kind of difficult and new situation and turn it around into something positive.
I liked how we still did one though, because obviously that's one of the biggest concerts, and I think it's one of the biggest ones for new members, so that they've kind of had something to see rather than miss out on it. Because when you first join, like, when you go there, it's quite a big thing.
I enjoyed watching it because obviously, like, concerts are a way of presenting what you've worked towards or what you worked for the whole year to your family and your friends, and they enjoy it and they take recordings and photos, and you have that memory. I think it's very hard to replace in-live concerts, but the fact that, for example, we went into lockdown in March, but we still managed to put something out, we still managed to have something to show, online and technology-wise, I think it shows how hard, especially staff, and how hard the players have worked and taken recordings and gotten everything in on time to put that together.
In the midst of the pandemic, cases rose, which meant that there was a swift change to several weeks of online school, and with Lockdown 3 happening, this caused RHYO to be on Teams for the foreseeable future. This year has been incredibly difficult for everybody, musically, personally, in almost every way. What has been the hardest thing for you?
Too many things. It's too many things to pick the hardest thing. Because on one hand, everything was hard, but on the other hand, I have it way better than many people, and I'm very grateful for that.
I think because I was in year 13 and giving up to A-levels properly, and it was quite an intense kind of lifestyle. And then all of a sudden, when the lockdown came, it was completely nothing. It was we didn't know what was happening with A-levels. There was nothing to fill the time at all. And that was quite difficult just because it was months of not only not knowing what was going to happen, but not having anything to distract from that feeling. And so RHYO, for me, was the only thing structured in the week.
I went from feeling really sort of overworked and stressed doing A-levels and stuff, to then be told oh, we don't have any exams, and then to be told that we have nothing now, and then there was nothing that was there set in stone except RHYO. So
not seeing friends, not being able to go to the cinema, not being able to go bowling.
Well, I deal with quite bad mental health issues, so that means that during a pandemic where you're isolated and alone and you're left with yourself, it just makes it so much worse.
It's been difficult, especially not being able to see people. I have anxiety, and it's quite difficult because it's not as easy to talk to people.
The 21st of March marks a year since our first online rehearsal. Although we've really enjoyed these online rehearsals, we can't wait to get back to normal RHYO.
What are you most looking forward to when we can all make music live again?
So yeah, I definitely do miss playing with each other, but also talking.
I'm most looking forward to doing some more concerts.
I'm definitely looking forward to meeting people in RHYO in person and having proper conversations with them.
Probably just seeing all of my friends, because obviously we go to different colleges and there's not much opportunity to see each other, so we rely on break times at RHYO to meet.
Just being back, you can play in your room all you like, and that's probably all we've really been doing for the past year, but when you're actually there and you can hear the sound that everyone's making together, rather than it being recorded and it's actually live.
I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends and being able to play as a section together.
Sectionals, because they were always really fun.
Probably when we have a concert once again, because that's the highlight of RHYO, when we perform for other people.
When I look back and I see how good the piece is and how good it's come out, it's just beautiful.
It's just nice to have something to know that the whole year counted for something, if that makes sense. Like it didn't go to waste.